SOS from Aliens awoke the Deathworlders Ultimate War Fleet Part 1. The Desperate Signal DR. Sarah Chen rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the cascading data streams on her workstation. The Deep Space Research Facility Horizon's Edge drifted silently in the void between star systems, its mission to monitor subspace communications across the galaxy. For 3 years, Sarah had been the station's lead xenolinguist, and most days brought nothing more exciting than cataloging natural, cosmic phenomena. Tonight was different. The signal had appeared 47 minutes ago, cutting through the normal background radiation like a knife through silk. Sarah's translation algorithms were struggling with the complexity of the transmission, but one thing was clear. This was not natural. Someone, or something, was desperately trying to communicate across the vast emptiness of space. Commander Jake Morrison entered the linguistics lab, his footsteps echoing in the sterile corridor. At 42, Jake had spent most of his career in deep space assignments, and his weathered face showed the strain of isolation duty. He approached Sarah's workstation with the measured pace of a man who had learned not to get excited about false alarms. "What do we have, Doc?" Jake asked, settling into the chair beside her. The blue glow from her monitors cast shadows across his angular features. Sarah pulled up the raw signal data on her main screen. "It's definitely artificial, Commander. The mathematical precision is too perfect for any natural phenomenon. My computers are having trouble with the language structure, but I'm getting fragments." She highlighted several sections of the decoded text. "Look at this pattern here. It repeats every 93 seconds, like a heartbeat." Jake studied the scrolling data with growing concern. In his experience, unknown signals in deep space usually meant trouble. "How long until you can get a full translation?" "Maybe 6 hours, if I'm lucky," Sarah replied, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "But Commander, there's something else. The signal strength has increased by 30% since I first detected it. Whatever's sending this is either getting closer or pumping more power into the transmission, as if summoned by their conversation." Lieutenant Alex Rivera burst through the lab doors, his young face flushed with excitement. At 26, Alex was the youngest officer on Horizon's Edge, but his expertise with communication systems was unmatched in the fleet. "Commander, you need to see this," Alex said, catching his breath. "I've been tracking the signal's point of origin. It's coming from the Zelkari system, about 47 light-years from here." He activated the main display, showing a 3-dimensional star map. "But here's the weird part. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures moving toward that system. Something big is happening out there." Sarah's translation program suddenly chimed with a breakthrough. The main screen filled with text as her computers finally cracked the alien language structure. What they read made the blood drain from there. "Faces, we are the Zelkari of the 4th migration," Sarah read aloud, her voice trembling. "Our worlds burn under the shadow of the Void Reapers. These ancient machines have already consumed 17 civilizations in our sector. They do not negotiate. They do not show mercy. They harvest everything, our technology, our resources, our very thoughts." Jake leaned forward, his military training kicking in. "This is a distress call. They're asking for help." Sarah continued reading, her voice growing more urgent. "We have heard whispers in the cosmic winds about warriors from a death world called Earth. Stories speak of beings so adaptable that they turn their own planet's hostility into strength. We call upon the humans, the death world survivors, to stand with us against the Void Reapers." The 3 officers sat in stunned silence, Earth's reputation among alien species was complex. Humans were known as survivors, fighters who came from a world so dangerous that they had evolved to thrive in chaos. Most galactic civilizations viewed Earth with a mixture of respect and fear. Alex was the first to speak. "Commander, they're specifically asking for us. For humans." Jake was already moving toward the quantum communicator. "I need to contact Fleet Command immediately. If these Void Reapers are as dangerous as the Zelkari claim, Earth needs to know about the threat." Sarah's computers chimed again as more of the message was decoded. "There's more, Commander. The Zelkari are transmitting tactical data about the Void Reapers. Their ships are ... massive. The smallest ones are 20 kilometers long, and they're powered by something the Zelkari call harvested consciousness. They're using the minds of conquered species as organic computers." The horror of that revelation settled over them like a cold blanket. Jake activated the emergency communication protocols, sending a priority signal toward Earth. The message would take weeks to reach home through conventional channels, but Horizon's Edge was equipped with experimental quantum entanglement communicators that could deliver urgent messages almost instantaneously as Jake worked on the transmission. Sarah continued translating the Zelkari distress call. The aliens provided detailed intelligence about Void Reaper tactics, weapon capabilities, and their systematic approach to conquest. They were not random destroyers, but calculating harvesters who preserved their victims' knowledge and consciousness to fuel their expansion. "The Zelkari have been fighting them for 6 months, Sarah reported. "They've lost 4 colony worlds and their main battle fleet. They estimate they have maybe 3 weeks before their home world falls." Alex was monitoring the long-range sensors when his console erupted in alarm signals. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple large objects moving at high velocity toward the Zelkari system. Based on their size and energy signatures, these have to be the Void Reapers." Jake finished encoding the message to Earth and initiated the quantum transmission. The communication package contained everything they had learned about the Zelkari and the approaching threat. He knew it would trigger emergency protocols back home and potentially mobilize humanity's deep space defense forces. "Message away," Jake announced. "Fleet Command will have this data in less than an hour." Sarah's face had gone pale as she read the latest translation fragments. "Commander, there's something else. The Zelkari mention that they've detected the Void Reapers scanning local star systems, mapping jump points and hyperspace lanes. They think the machines are planning something bigger than just conquering the Zelkari. They're looking for the best routes to other inhabited sectors." The implications were terrifying. If the Void Reapers were mapping hyperspace routes, they might be planning a major expansion campaign that would threaten dozens of civilizations, including Earth's colonies. Alex's sensors detected something that made his blood freeze. "Commander, I'm reading new contacts. 3 massive objects just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of our sensor range. They're heading this way." Jake moved to the tactical display, his military experience taking over. The contacts were enormous, each one the size of a small moon. Their energy signatures matched the descriptions in the Zelkari transmission. The Void Reapers had somehow tracked the distress signal back to its recipients. They followed the communication trail, Jake realized. The Zelkari called for help, and now the Void Reapers know exactly where to find us. Sarah was frantically working on her translation when she discovered something that changed everything. "Commander, look at this." The Zelkari didn't just send their distress call randomly. They've been monitoring human communications for years. They know about our military capabilities, our ship designs, our tactical doctrines. They specifically chose to contact us because they believe humans are the only species capable of fighting the Void Reapers. The station's long-range sensors suddenly detected something unexpected. Energy signatures were appearing throughout the outer solar system, dozens of them, all broadcasting human identification codes. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and gas giant shadows were suddenly coming online. Alex stared at his console in amazement. "Commander, I'm reading 47 human vessels that weren't there an hour ago. They're broadcasting authentication. Codes I've never seen before." Jake smiled grimly as he recognized what was happening. The Ghost Fleet protocols. Earth hasn't been sitting idle while we explored the galaxy. They've been preparing for exactly this scenario. The quantum communicator crackled to life with an incoming priority transmission from Earth Fleet Command. The voice that emerged was crisp and authoritative, belonging to someone accustomed to making decisions that affected millions of lives. "Horizons, Edge, this is Fleet Admiral Catherine Blackwood. We have received your transmission regarding the Zelkari situation and the Void Reaper threat. Operation Deathworld is now active. All deep space defense assets are mobilizing for immediate deployment to the Zelkari system." Sarah felt a chill of anticipation. She had heard whispers about Admiral Blackwood. They called her Iron Kate in the fleet, the woman who had designed humanity's secret deep space defense network. If the Ghost Fleet was mobilizing under her command, it meant Earth was taking the Void Reaper threat very seriously. "Your station is designated as forward command for this operation," Admiral Blackwood continued. "Prepare to receive Task Force Hammer in 36 hours. We're coming to show these machines what Deathworld warriors can do." As the transmission ended, Jake looked at his two officers with a mixture of pride and determination. Somewhere in the darkness of space, an ancient evil was harvesting civilizations and turning their victims into slave computers. But humanity had been preparing for this fight longer than anyone realized. The Zelkari had called for help from the warriors of the Deathworld, and they were about to discover that Earth's reputation was well-deserved. The Deathworld fleet awakens Admiral Catherine Iron Kate. Blackwood stood on the bridge of the dreadnought, Ragnarok's fury, watching as her Ghost Fleet emerged from decades of hiding. At 54, Kate had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, the day when humanity would face an existential threat that required their full military might. The ship around her hummed with barely contained power, its weapons systems charging for the first time in 20 years. Through the massive viewport, she could see the rest of Task Force Hammer materializing from their concealment. The heavy cruiser Darwin's Revenge slipped out from behind Titan's shadow, its hull scarred from countless training exercises in the asteroid belts. The carrier's survival instinct launched from its hiding place within Jupiter's Great Red Spot, immediately deploying squadrons of fighters that moved with predatory grace. "Fleet status report," Kate commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had never lost a strategic engagement. Commander Elena Buscus, Kate's tactical officer, consulted her displays with military precision. "All 47 vessels are operational and responding. The stealth frigates are already moving ahead to establish reconnaissance positions. Our marine complements are at full readiness, and all weapon systems are showing green across the board." Kate nodded with satisfaction. For decades, Earth's military leaders had operated under a simple assumption. Eventually, humanity would encounter something in the galaxy that wanted to destroy them. The Ghost Fleet was their insurance policy, a hidden force designed to strike fast and hard when conventional diplomacy failed. The quantum communicator crackled with an incoming transmission. From Horizon's edge, Dr. Sarah Chen's face appeared on the main screen, her expression tense with urgency. "Admiral, we've received additional communications from the Zelkari. Their situation is deteriorating rapidly. The Void Reapers have begun orbital bombardment of their outer colonies. Based on their previous patterns, the aliens estimate they have less than 2 weeks before their home world falls." Kate studied the tactical data streaming across her displays. The Zelkari system was 47 light-years away, a 3-day journey at maximum hyperspace velocity for her fastest ships. But the Ghost Fleet had advantages that no alien civilization had ever encountered. "Doctor, transmit our estimated arrival time to the Zelkari. Tell them the Deathworld fleet is coming, and we don't plan to lose." The next 72 hours passed in a blur of preparation and hyperspace travel. Kate's fleet moved through the void like a pack of wolves, their stealth systems masking their approach from any long-range sensors. The humans had learned from studying alien technology for decades, but they had also developed techniques that were uniquely their own. Captain Marcus Webb, commanding the assault ship Endurance, contacted the flagship as they approached the Zel system. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures ahead. The Void Reapers are already here in force." Kate moved to the tactical display, studying the enemy formation with a strategist's eye. 12 massive Void Reaper vessels hung in orbit around the Zelkari homeworld, their dark hulls absorbing light like black holes. Each ship was a technological marvel that represented millions of years of accumulated knowledge from conquered civilizations. "Signal the fleet," Kate ordered. "Execute Ghost Protocol 7. We're going to show these machines why Earth is called a death world." The human fleet split into multiple attack groups, using the system's asteroid fields and gas giants as cover. This was not the honorable combat preferred by most galactic civilizations. This was predator warfare, learned from millennia of survival on a planet that had tried to kill humanity's ancestors at every turn. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, piloting the stealth corvette Shadowhunter, was the first to engage the enemy. Her ship slipped past the Void Reaper sensor nets using experimental cloaking technology and launched a spread of quantum torpedoes at the nearest harvester vessel. The explosions lit up space as the torpedoes found their target, but the Void Reaper ship barely seemed to notice. Its shields absorbed the impact, and it began scanning for the source of the attack. But by then, Shadowhunter was already gone, disappeared into the sensor shadow of a nearby moon. "All units, this is Admiral Blackwood," Kate broadcast on the Fleet Channel. "Commence Operation Deathworld. Show them what happens when you threaten a human colony." What followed was unlike any space battle the galaxy had ever witnessed. The human ships moved like living creatures, using every piece of debris and gravitational anomaly as cover. They struck from unexpected angles, used the system's own geography against their enemies, and employed tactics that no logical computer could predict. The Void Reapers were accustomed to fighting civilizations that followed predictable patterns, establish battle lines, exchange fire at long range, and rely on superior technology to achieve victory. Humans fought like the apex predators they were, using cunning and adaptability to overcome superior numbers and firepower. Captain Diana Torres, commanding the destroyer Tenacious, led her squadron in a daring attack run that took them through the debris field of a destroyed Zelkari space station. The human ships twisted and rolled through the wreckage, using it as cover while they closed to point-blank range with a Void Reaper cruiser. "Fire everything." Torres commanded as her squadron emerged from the debris field. Plasma cannons, rail, guns, and missile batteries unleashed their fury at close range, overwhelming the enemy's shields through sheer concentrated firepower. The Void Reaper ship staggered under the assault, its hull cracking along previously invisible stress lines. For the first time in millennia, the ancient machines encountered an enemy that fought with the desperation of a cornered animal and the zoologens of a technological civilization. On the surface of the Zelkri homeworld, the alien population watched in amazement as the human fleet engaged their would-be destroyers. The Deathworld warriors were living up to their reputation, fighting with a ferocity that bordered on madness and an intelligence that turned every disadvantage into a weapon. Admiral Blackwood coordinated the battle from Ragnarok's fury, her tactical displays showing the flow of combat across the entire system. The human fleet was outnumbered 3-1, but they were winning through superior tactics and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. From the Zelkri Planetary Government, Commander Vasquez reported. The main screen filled with the image of an alien that looked like a cross between a dolphin and a praying mantis. Its large eyes showed a mixture of hope and disbelief as it spoke through the translation matrix. Warriors of the Deathworld. We are hierarchs, Eldon, of the fourth migration. We have watched your battle tactics with amazement. You fight as no other species we have encountered, not with honor or glory, but with the pure determination to survive and protect others. Kate nodded respectfully to the alien leader. Hierarch, we received your distress call. Humans don't abandon allies, especially when they're facing extinction. But we need your help to finish this fight. The Zelkri provided detailed intelligence about Void Reaper technology and tactics, information that Kate's fleet used to devastating effect. The aliens had observed the machines for months, learning their weaknesses and blind spots. Combined with human tactical innovation, this knowledge turned the tide of battle. The final engagement occurred around the largest Void Reaper vessel, a massive command ship that served as the hub for their harvesting operations. Captain Torres led a coordinated assault that included every remaining human ship. Their combined firepower focused on overwhelming the enemy's defenses. As the Void Reaper command ship exploded in a brilliant flash of released energy, the remaining machines began to withdraw from the system. For the first time in their ancient existence, they had encountered prey that was more dangerous than expected. The Deathworld warriors had proven that superior technology meant nothing without the will to use it effectively. Admiral Blackwood opened a channel to the entire fleet as the last Void Reaper ships disappeared into hyperspace. All units, this is Admiral Blackwood. Outstanding work today. We've shown the galaxy that humanity keeps its promises and protects its allies. The Zelkri transmission returned, and Hierarch Zelven's voice carried a note of profound gratitude. Admiral Blackwood, the fourth migration will remember this day for 1,000 generations. You have saved our civilization and proven that the stories about death, world warriors, are true. Kate smiled as she looked out at the stars, knowing that word of this battle would spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity had announced their presence as a force to be reckoned with, protectors of the innocent and enemies of those who would harvest civilizations for their own dark purposes. The Ghost Fleet began forming up for the journey home, their mission accomplished and their reputation secured. They had answered the call for help from strangers in the darkness, and in doing so, they had established humanity as the galaxy's newest guardian species. The Deathworld had awakened its defenders, and the universe would never be the same. Asterisk.